Jerez de la Frontera has been a winemaking region for over 3,000 years. The Phoenicians planted the first grapevines in pre-Roman times. The white Palomino grape is the source of sherry, a fortified wine. From Jerez, it's exported all over the world. The Andalusian city celebrates the end of the grape harvest with a major festival dedicated to the wine. To start off the festivities, the grapes are pressed by foot. For centuries, this was the traditional way to crush the grapes. For an entire week, the city celebrates the wine that made Jerez world famous, sherry.
My father worked in a wine cellar. When I was a little boy, I met him there after work. I'll never forget the scent of the bodega.
This wine is everything to us. I knew that even as a child. My family owes a lot to the wine because many of us were barrel makers.
One of the local wineries that cultivates this 3,000-year-old tradition is the Bodega Luis Perez. But the winery itself is a newcomer, founded just 12 years ago. Luis Perez used to teach viticulture, or wine growing, at university. Now he puts his ideas into practice in his own winery. He doesn't produce sherry, though. Instead, he produces red wine, which was widespread in the region up until 200 years ago. He's planted over 20 grape varieties. The climate is ideal here. And so is the chalky soil, which does a good job of storing water in this rather arid region.
We know from past centuries that our soil here is wonderfully suited to red wine varieties. I'm very interested in culture, especially the development of wine culture. Children and young people nowadays don't know anything about that anymore. That's why we hold grape tastings, not the usual wine tastings. The differences you taste in the wines actually originate in the grapes themselves.
The grapes are harvested by hand and processed immediately. The vineyard focuses on quality over quantity.
We have small plots of land. Whenever a plot is ripe, we harvest it that same day. We don't wait. We harvest the plots one by one.
Luis Perez has made it his mission to prove that Jerez can do more than just produce sherry.
It's wonderful. I'm happy to take a second taste, though.
But most visitors come to Jerez for the sherry, especially during the wine festival. In the traditional bodegas, they even have a chance to taste sherry that's aged at least 30 years. This winery only produces a very old sherry. The sherry keeps for long periods, which is why it was developed in the first place.
Seafarers brought wine with them to sell in America. But white wine has only 12 to 13% alcohol. They fortified it to keep it from spoiling en route. We learned how to distill from the Arabs.
Sherry is also aged in a special way. The young wine stays in the top barrels. The older wine is transferred to the bottom barrels. The bottles are filled from the lowest layer. Then more wine is poured in at the top. There are no vintages. The quality is always the same.
You can't find wine like this anywhere else in the world.
I'm a wine connoisseur, so I want to visit a variety of wine cellars. This one only produces aged sherry, so that's different. But it's always good to get to know something new.
Sherry will be celebrated here in Jerez through the end of the year. Then, in November, another location will be chosen to be next year's European Wine City.